Hi there. So far we understand about what, when, and where processing works, but we haven't taken a complete example to demonstrate how best we can process it. So in this lecture, I'm going to take some of the examples to show you how we are going to process it. Once I've shown you these examples, you should be master, or you should be able to cultivate this habit of what, when, and where processing, and you should be clear on how this can processed in your case. Once this is completed, pause this video at the end of this video lecture and try to do it the same things what you have leftover things to process, so that you can progress further and start doing that, so that you would get a complete habit of processing. So to begin with that, I wanted what and when where processing to become second nature to you. So to you, it's going to be a conditioned to follow same system every time. In the beginning of the system, maybe you feel that it would be a little bit hard for you, or you may not like it, but that's okay. Just take your time and be patient to repeat one item by one item, so that you would clear out that entire inbox. Any items that needs to be dealt within this week, we are going to begin practicing with the temporary of 1 week box. You remember we have a 1 week temporary box, so we start pulling out from 1 week temporary in box or the box, and we start that. So let me take one of the example here. Let's think about you have an offer from the new bank for a credit card, or maybe you are getting an existing statement from your bank. So let's take first example as a credit card offer. You need to think yourself, do you really need a question like what is the first W should be come into the picture here. So the first W would be here what. So you need to think about what's the next step. So do you consider this specific offer from the bank, or you wanna definitely not to consider? So you can think that do you really need this additional credit card? If yes, you would be checking up. If you think that you don't need additional credit card, you can simply take a decision in a 5 minutes time. So you can quickly what you can do is you can say that I don't need a credit card, so you can take it out that. But before doing that, that's not the end. When is right now what we have taken, we have taken a decision of within 5 minutes, so we can say that we don't need. But wait to process, the processing is not yet done. So do you really need to leave that paper as it is from your temporary inbox? No, not really. So you need to tear it out and throw it into the rubbish bin somewhere, so that nobody can see that your personal details. Or you can have a another box where you're gonna do it all these things for recycling purpose, maybe by tearing out completely, because that contains your personal information. That concludes the wait process. So where the home is your rubbish bin, or you're tearing completely and you're throwing out. And now let's take one more example. Maybe we'll think about the bank statement which you wanted to process. So when you take it out, that bank statement, the first one would be the what is the next step. Well, the next step is you need to review it, because it's a financial matter, and if it takes only 5 minutes, you can right away you can review that entire bank statement and make sure that there is no hidden charges, or the statement is running properly, right? And once you have done that, you need to think about when is done now within that 5 minutes. So you don't need any calendar task. But where is the processing? The processing is, do you want to throw that paper as it is? Definitely not, because these papers are very critical and you must have to file it under your personal financial place. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up your drawer, and And once we repeated this what and when and where questions, we know now what's the next step. And now the next step is I need to file it. So when it will be done is I can definitely file it within 5 minutes or less. So I'm gonna do it right now. Where is the home? The home would be definitely the financial files, as we just talked in a minute. So I'm gonna set it up for the month and the year. For example, this is the month of December and 2019. I would put it into that specific one of the file, so that it would be easily segregated. And that's how we can take as a typical two different examples. Now if I take a complex one, I wanted to meet my friend, maybe, or to my colleague, for an offer, or maybe a discussion on a specific bid or in a contract. So what I'm going to do is I need to definitely because the objective is it's just the meeting and getting to know about any of the opportunities, but we are not sure about the full content. So it's better, instead of writing an email, maybe you can talk to them uh, by meeting them. So what you can do is you can put some kind of reminders to contact them and get some kind of time. Later on you can talk with them in detail with additional follow-up meetings. So let's do that in a practically in Google Calendar. Now I'll just open up my calendar here. Just go to the calendar from Google. So this is the same step, same way with any of your calendar. It's not just the Google. If you have the Outlook or from Microsoft Outlook, or maybe you have Yahoo's calendar or any other calendar, it would be the remains the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, click on the reminders. So just options for the reminders. So you can click here, additional reminder color, whatever you want to segregate, or you can put your own task. And these are the create. You can see here as a reminder. Say example, I want to remind myself on maybe a specific day. For example, on maybe 16th December, I want at 1 p.m. to be a reminder to meet John, so that it's going to remind me around 1 p.m. so that it will be on my calendar on 16th of December. So I'll just click on save. That's going to actually save me. And now if I just go back here, maybe 16th or 17th, there's nothing. But on 16th, if you see, I have a gap between these reminders. So that's how it's gonna create your reminders. Similarly, you can also create your email based, like reminders here, or maybe event based, like this would be your calendar, this would be the task based, and you can even tasks also can be categorized based on your specific criteria, and that way also you would be able to yourself getting reminded, and you are going to utilize your proper calendar. And just want to show you here in the Google Calendar, you can view based on the day. That's what the day here now. And if I just switch back to week, I can be able to see here weekly, and here similarly monthly and schedule also. So in this case, it's going to be schedule based, and what day only I have specific things. For example, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. I have a demo class, something like that. You can view it on your favorite calendar. So this calendar can be almost similar when it comes to the feature wise on your Outlook, or maybe on your Yahoo reminders or Yahoo calendar altogether. As a thumb rule, you must need to have a gap between every meeting, at least 10 minutes to 15 minutes of the time. That way you would be getting more free time to refresh yourself and come out into a different mood to conduct that meeting and take out the notes and think about it, points that needs to be discussed in your meeting. So that would be your free time. You need to coordinate at least to have at least 10 to 15 minutes of time. So these are the complex things which I wanted to show you as part of the processing. Now, we have not yet talked about the emails, which I'm going to talk in the next lecture, but for now you need to You need to pause this entire course for now and try to schedule up the things and create your reminders, fill your calendar based on your agenda, based on your temporary 1 week box, and start processing it. That way, this entire course is useful for you. If you can, spend at least 1 hour practicing with the existing items that you have in your inbox, that will help you to make this process strong for you, and also it becomes as a natural for you, and moreover you're conditioning your mind to get faster and faster at what and when and where processing. So this 3 W's gets cultivated within your brain to become more faster naturally. If you've completed my previous task on what when where processing of your existing inboxes, from the temporary inboxes, whatever you have done, that might take an hour or so to work on it. But now think about the other 6 different gathering inboxes which we talked about, like physical, portable, notepad, email boxes, voicemail, wild character specific, all we have processed into different inboxes. Now it's time to clear out them also. We have to think in a different way altogether to clear this. Like in a week, you can take around 5 hours of in a week time and segregate for each of the activities on a priority basis and make them as a 0. So you can't do it all of them as one all at once as a 0. So that's where we are trying to schedule by opening our Google Calendar and schedule it, so that you would clear all these 6 different gathering points to 0 one or other day. So this might take a month time maximum, but you would definitely achieve as a 0 when you schedule for a 5 hours on a weekly basis. So you're not going to disturb your existing tasks or existing calendar. Instead, you're going to taking out a time, maybe from the morning or maybe end of your shift, to just to clear out all these things, so that you know what you're trying to clear out all your previous tasks. Once you have done, these become as a 0 in the ongoing process. Whatever the things which you are putting into your inboxes, you can schedule for only for 20 or 25 minutes per week. That would actually clear it out any of the tasks which are lying out here. In the future, once you become a 0, just move to the next round of a meeting in your calendar to clear it out a weekly basis. So all the time it would come to a 0 a weekly basis, and you are processing them on time. If you find any of the extra or larger task, or maybe taking huge any of the task, maybe you might need to think about additional 1 hour extra or 1.5 hours for that specific unresolved task you gather from your mind. This means that if you had 5 different boxes and 5 different tasks, so you're going to end up with 60 minutes, 60 of unresolved tasks. It all depends how many number of tasks you have, but you would be investing your time. You are actually budgeting your time as per your schedule to clear it out all these old backlogs. So please, once this video stops, you can open up your calendar immediately and schedule extra time for your backlog or large inbox processing, whatever you have the tasks, so that would actually make 0 of all these inboxes.